What advice would you give to a college student attempting to become less financially dependent on their parents? Ooh, that's tough. I mean, there are skills you can teach yourself and habits you can develop that would just make yourself more responsible with the money you do have. But that's sort of assuming you have any money to manage it all and aren't just reliant on your parents helping you out, right? So I guess, I don't want to just say get a job, but like getting a job during university, during the summers, starting to make money for yourself is the obvious answer. But I think developing good habits, like Cristine, I know we've talked about, don't know if we talked about this publicly, but like you did, your parents would help you out or your grandmother would help you out, but you were expected to like account for how you were using that money, right?
Right. So this was in second year university where I had to pay like rent because I was living in an apartment with roommates, but my parents or grandma wasn't just going to like pay it directly because it gets too complicated. So they would give me a couple $100 and I had to budget that every month on a spreadsheet and say what it was for. So part of it was for the phone bill, part of it was for textbooks, part of it was like a little bit towards groceries. And again, like I'm lucky to acknowledge I had this help from my family, but I had to account for all of it and say where it went so that when I ran out, it was justified and I did have all the receipts. And I feel like something as simple as that taught me my own principles about how to spend my own money and how I should budget properly.
Yeah, budgeting is one of those things where a lot of people don't do it. And if you just write down what you spend money on, that alone could completely change your habits and the way you look at how you do and don't spend money. So I think that's an obvious one. But yeah, in terms of becoming less financially dependent on your parents, it's about going out and making your own money at the end of the day, right?
So I think there's two answers there. And here's an example, because I was given a little bit of money to be able to survive, right? To go to school. But at the same time, I still wanted to work. So in the summers or whenever I could, and when I eventually did get a position with the government as a student, which I didn't have to do financially at the time, I wanted to make my own money because like it's time for me to start building my own money and not just,
and not just building your own money, but also just building a resume. So when you're applying for jobs out of university, if your resume is just blank of work experience, that's probably putting you at a bit of a disadvantage. Or maybe you would co-op placements or things like that. But
so I think in terms of becoming less financially dependent on your parents and more on yourself, the first part of the equation is finding your own sources of income. And then the second part is figuring out how to save and budget your own sources of income too, right? So that's one thing to like make your own money, but it's another thing to figure out how to spend it wisely.
And don't spend all your money on craft beer and McDonald's.
Yes, also that.